The word cross-collateralisation either means nothing to you or scares you. I'm going to show you what it is you need to know. Hi everyone, Tuan from Tax, here for another video designed to help you become a better property investor. In the most basic terms, cross-collateralisation is used when a loan is secured by two or more properties. So for example, if you have a home and borrowed additional money for an investment property from the same bank, they often cross-collateralise or cross-secure the properties to lend you additional money. I know it sounds like a bit of a mouthful, but the idea behind the strategy isn't as complex as it might sound. And knowing how to use this to your advantage could be crucial in developing a long-term property investment portfolio. So let's take a deep dive into how it actually works and why it could be a good option for you if you're ready to buy your next property but don't have any funds to secure a deposit. There are also a few other benefits that might pique your interest, so stay tuned. But before we start, we want to be clear that this video is for informational purposes. In no way should you interpret this as financial or tax advice. We always recommend working with a qualified financial advisor or tax agent to give you the best advice for your situation. Okay, let's get started. Collateral simply means the security you put up for a loan. In the case of a home loan, the property you buy generally acts as security or collateral for the loan. And as I mentioned earlier, cross-collateralisation means putting up more than one property as security for a loan, or potentially more than one loan. So why would you do this? Well, it can be a way of putting your existing equity to work. In other words, it's a useful alternative to paying a cash deposit when buying a second or even third property. The best way to explain how it works would be to use an example. Let's say you're a homeowner with a house worth $1 million and a home loan with a balance of $500,000. This brings the value of your home equity to $500,000. That equity can potentially be used to fund another property. In this case, we'll assume that it'll fund an investment property costing $500,000. We have a whole video dedicated to using equity to buy more property, so make sure to check that out. But going back to this example, by using cross-collateralisation, you'll have combined assets worth $1.5 million and total debts worth $1 million. As the equity grows in your second property, you may be able to use that equity to fund another property. In this way, cross-collateralisation has the potential to help you build a property portfolio. Now, it may sound simple on paper, but like any other strategy, it's important to weigh up its benefits and drawbacks, especially in light of your circumstances. So, here are a few things to keep in mind. The plus side of cross-collateralisation is that you would only have to use one lender to fund all of your properties. This can help simplify money matters, potentially making it easier to manage your account and fees because you have one lender instead of taking out separate loans with a variety of lenders. At the same time though, this could also be a bit of a drawback because while having one lender can streamline your finances, if you aren't careful, it can also lock you into a lender with less competitive interest rates. And if you decide to sell one of your properties, the bank can dictate the terms of the sale and where the funds from the purchase end up. For example, they might decide that all of the funds are put towards paying down a loan and you won't see any of the cash. One last drawback to consider with having all your loans allocated into one lender is the difficulty of refinancing. With all your properties intertwined, it can be difficult to untangle the complex web. On top of this, refinancing costs are likely to be higher. Back to the advantages though. One of the main benefits of this strategy is getting a much lower owner-occupied interest rate on your whole portfolio instead of an investment loan rate. That's because some lenders will allow you to use your owner-occupied property and cross-securitize it with your investment properties. The difference between paying something like 3.8% with a home loan rate and 4.2% with an investment loan may not sound like much, but it is. For example, if you have $200,000 owing on your $800,000 home at 3.8% interest, your total repayments over 30 years will be $137,542. But if you were to buy an investment property worth the same as your current mortgage, $200,000, at 4.2% interest, your total repayments would be $161,082. That's more than $24,200 over 30 years. Cross-collateralisation can also mean that you don't necessarily need to wait to save up a deposit to buy an investment property, as you can use your existing home or investment property as security. And by using the equity in your home as security for an investment property loan, you may not need to provide a cash deposit. This can mean you don't have to dip into your personal savings. There is one drawback associated with using equity though, because there may be limits to what you can use. For example, you may have accumulated plenty of equity in your home, but that doesn't always mean much of it can be used as security for another property. Each lender typically has its own restrictions, which can impact the maximum loan-to-value ratios a borrower can access. These potential drawbacks are why some property investors choose to have loans with multiple lenders rather than go through a single lender and cross-collateralize. But unfortunately, cross-collateralization does give the lender quite a lot of power, so it's something to consider. It's important to weigh up the risk carefully and consider seeking financial advice to help determine the loan structure that suits your circumstances or preferences. One way to get started is to speak to a mortgage broker. So, in a nutshell, cross-collateralization is where you have a single loan secured by 2 or more properties. Unfortunately, the strategy faces a lot of heat because a lot of investors believe it's quite risky. The idea is that by having a single property providing security for a loan, you are protecting your other assets from the bank in the event of a loan default. Whereas with cross-collateralization, the bank can decide where the proceeds of a sale are allocated on your cross-securitized mortgage, which could mean they can force you to sell your own home rather than one of your investment properties. Either way, there is a lot to consider, and you shouldn't make the decision alone. I highly recommend speaking to your financial advisor, property planner, or mortgage broker for advice. You never know, it could be a strategy that perfectly aligns with your goals. Anyway, that's it from me guys. If you have a friend or family member looking for ways to secure a second property, please share this video with them. They might find some valuable insights. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more property investment tips. I'm Tuan from Tax. I'll see you next time.